Hey everybody, and welcome to Virtual Vines. I'm Dan Mackey from The Loaded Grape, TC Frazier from Tryon Distributing. I know it's been like months since we've had a show, but we're so excited to be doing this again.
It's like after Sergeant Pepper's, you don't play live for several months, seems like years, and then you get back together for that live performance on top of a roof. Let it be.
Let it be.
I've been watching the old Peter Jackson documentary on Disney Plus. I don't know if you watch that.
I started watching.
It's a little tedious. I mean, it's the process. So it's you got to be an uber Beatles fan. I'm not gonna lie. There was a couple times I fell asleep, but I mean.
So I started watching last night.
Yeah.
Tanya said, if I didn't like the Beatles before this, I definitely don't like the Beatles now. So it's not going to make any Beatles fans, because it is very much about the process of making the album. So it's not. Yeah. It's more geeking out on.
It's like B. Let's try E. And you're just like, okay, can we? Let's do like the cool stuff.
Yeah, it's a very slow documentary. I guess we keep on hitting this table here. So lots to go over tonight. We have a lot of fun wines for you. Let me talk about a couple of events coming up as we have folks tuning in, getting live, throwing up your comments in the comment section. Let us know that you're here. While we do that, let me do this right here. Why don't you guys tell us, what are you drinking tonight? Put it in the comments. Let us know what you're drinking. We want to know what you're popping open and joining with us. And if not, this is the time to go and get a bottle or get some wine and enjoy the show. Let us know what you are drinking tonight. Comments are starting to come in. And then, yes, we're on Facebook as well. Yeah, Elsie, Facebook as well. You can watch Facebook or you can watch on YouTube. So we have people joining on different platforms. So we're ready to go. But I wanted to talk about a couple things to get on your calendar. One, next this Thursday, man, time flies. This Thursday, a blind Cabernet tasting at the Loaded Grape. Costs $15 a person, plus tax, or Wine Club 12 plus tax. Gonna be a lot of fun. Andy's Lisa from Ocean South is going to be pouring the wines, and you'll be guessing where in the world those Cabernets are from. So it should be a really, really good time. And then coming up, it's already December. You know what that means? December Wine Club pickup already happening. So if you're not in the club, you got to get in the club. So that you can enjoy these wines. And we have some stellar wines. Julia from American Premium Beverage will be on site doing that tasting as well. So all the wines are from her. And then also Wednesday for our beer crowd got some holiday brews coming in, and we're gonna have some fun ones in there. Yeah. Fun ones in there. So
stay loaded at the Loaded Grape.
And the following Wednesday is going to be Duck Rabbit, one of TC's breweries. Their rep's going to be in town.
Yeah, I think Nick's stopped in. I saw you guys, and they already got a couple seasonal items we talked about even today that we had, and so good to go.
Yeah. Oh.
Yep.
All right. So Josh, hey, what's up? Yeah. There you go. That's a nice little
Chick-fil-A in San Emilion. All right.
Yeah, that's a great pairing.
Yeah, there you go.
A little Don David from Elsie. Yeah. Are we doing Tannat or Malbec? I'm assuming Malbec for you.
Malbec. Oh, beautiful wine. Only 1,000 cases produced. I think we got literally almost 10% of that for the state, and of course with these guys with their wine club, let's call it almost 10 cases. So we have, of the 80 cases North Carolina got, you guys got, more than 10% of the state's allocation. So not a lot of wine to be had, but as Danny said, always picking some good stuff for your members and club members, but always kind of fun to have some of those, off the beaten path items out there as well. So, but yeah, I think it's fun because tonight we're going to do some wines. I won't say off the beaten path, maybe some wineries you never heard of, some you definitely have, whether it be the Loaded Grape, like Robert Hall. No spoilers there. But also Schramsburg, which we talk about first families of politics or music or whatever else. But when you think about sparkling wine, I mean, there's the one first family in America is Schramsburg. So anyway, I'm really excited. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to contain my excitement because we got some good stuff here.
We got some good stuff. This is our Cyber Monday show. So 20% coupon code when you type in all in caps Cyber Vines at checkout. So anything you order today that's on the site, whether it's from our tasting tonight or anything else on the website, 20% off with the Cyber Vines at checkout. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting stuff right there. So let's
do it.
We popped open the bubbles. Let's go. Pour me.
It's like that viral thing where you put a piece of chocolate in front of a toddler and say, "Daddy's going out of the room. Don't touch it."
Yeah.
You pretty much just open up sparkling wine. I'm like, I want to touch it.
I want to touch this. I want to touch it. I want to touch it.
There we go. Get it in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, well, and Danny, I mean, Schramsburg, and frankly, we are fortunate enough with the company I work for now. We have this brand statewide. I mean, as Danny knows, it's kind of a nightmare sometimes for us to look up online. This company has this brand in one county or the other. Obviously, you guys are in Guilford now, but I mean, depending on what part of the state, people carry different things. And Schramsburg is this iconic brand that, as you can imagine, every distributor, large or small, wants to get their share of the pie. So I'm so glad that we consolidated the brand statewide, and it's about almost 2 years now that I've been able to sell it in the triad. Certainly I would, as a salesman, suggest things I sold, but if I wasn't selling things to you when it comes to California sparkling, I mean, you really have to put Schramsburg not only up there in terms of the pedigree and the story and the evolution of sparkling wine in California, but quite frankly, some of the best, and for the price as well. So
this is so good. This is so tasty. We've had the Mary Bell in the shop and done it with some tastings, but this is the Blanc De Blanc.
This is the one that started it all. I mean, this is California's very first Chardonnay-based, Blanc De Blanc, meaning white from white, Chardonnay-based, bottle-fermented brut. Really the first one that was made in 1965. And to give you the little, I guess, background, or the nickel tour, the Boy Scout tour, as it were, is Jim and Jamie Davies were from Southern California. And they started a winery in Napa Valley in the 60s, really for two reasons. One, they love sparkling wine. They love champagne, had an affinity for it, even in their early newlywed life. But Jim had this foresight in the 60s, thinking, no one's doing this now. I have a niche in the market. If I can do it and do it well and hit the bullseye, it might pay dividends a couple of decades later. And frankly, 50 years later, Schramsburg continues to be an iconic brand, not only from Napa Valley, but from California and frankly, worldwide. If you ever find yourself in Napa and the apocalypse happens, not only is that a great place to be, but specifically Schramsburg, and I don't want to misspeak, but they have one of the largest, if not the largest, underground cave in which to store their wine. It's over 34,000 square feet of storage space, which I think is just about 3 million bottles. So that should last you, well, depending on how much you drink, maybe, a year and a half, 2 years, maybe something like that. But this was the first brand to be made. And also, there's a great anecdote. Jim Davies going to a local Air Force base there in Northern California because there was a request for 2 cases of sparkling wine that this colonel had ordered or said, hey, be here at this certain time with 2 cases of the Blanc De Blanc. And he said he goes there and he's kind of nervous because, it's sort of, it's the late 60s, the Cold War's still kind of on, so there's kind of checkpoints and whatnot. Here comes this civilian with a couple cases of wine. And he said he was so nervous when he gave it to the staff sergeant, he didn't think to ask for a check. So he basically just gave him a couple cases of wine. And then like about 2 months later, a friend from back east says, turn on ABC tonight. Barbara Walters is talking about your wine. And so it was the peace talks in 1972 with Nixon and Mao at the time, and of course Kissinger and his commensurate during that time. And so from then, not only has Schramsburg been poured at diplomatic events, but it's an exclusive White House champagne. Obviously, they pour other things, but it's been poured every president, Democrat and Republican, since Richard Nixon. So at the White House. So again, as Paul Roger is the Queen's champagne, Schramsburg is what we have here is the Daniel Boone. All right.
Well, I'll tell you right now, this is tasty. More not so yeasty as some bubbles can get from champagne, but this is very much green apple, nice and crisp.
Yeah, it's got that lemon skin, that lemon rind kind of a thing. Nice high acid.
Yeah.
Just a touch of yeast, but I think Danny's going with that. I think I get more of this like lemon curd thing in the background versus
not
that
like
bready
the brioche.
I like walking into a brewery where all you smell is like fermenting yeast and stuff like that. But what I love about this wine, for a few reasons. Number one, it's all vintage dated. So literally outside of the Mirabelle, which Danny just mentioned, which is a still for the price, it's about 86% one vintage. Everything else they make is vintage dated. Now, if you compare that to Champagne, most 85% or so, last time I checked, is non-vintage, and it has to be aged for a minimum of 3 years. Schramsburg goes between 2.5 to 7 years, depending on what it is. Like the Dre Schram, they'll hold that up. I think the current J Schram I'm selling is 2009. So much like the famous champagne houses where they release sometimes a decade later their Tête de Cuvées as well as their rosé as well. But the Blanc de Blanc is vintage dated. It spends between 3.5 to 4 years at the winery between time in the bottle, fermenting, as well as after they disgorge it. So they actually live it for another 6 months to a year at the winery to rest. And what I love about it is, you have champagne price. Let's go ahead and call it $50+ for most good champagnes. And then you have great Proseccos and Cavas. What I think is great about Schramsburg is it hits that nice mid-tier point between the two. You're not walking into the Loaded Grape and spending $75 for a ball of Pont Roger, which we all love. I don't know if that's what it was, probably cheaper than that.
Well, it's 66.
66, somewhere around there. But you're also, we love the Mist and Get, we love the Jo, but you're like, all right, it's the holidays. I want to have something nice, but I'd rather get 3 bottles for $100 or whatever, or 4 bottles or whatever the case may be, depending on your membership versus like just 1 or 2. And when Schramsburg, not only does it have that truly American status and the history, if you will, but it has in a blind tasting every bit of that nuance and complexity of quote unquote fine champagne from the Champagne region can offer. So again, much more than other people that are out there. That are making what I call the cheapo Prosecco in California. Hey, they're out there. We know who they are. It is what we need mimosa wine. But this is something. Well, if you're pouring this for mimosas, let me know your address. I'd love to come over and drink that with you. But yeah, this would be like
old orange juice.
Well, yeah, it's like one of my good friends, the Martini, goes, how much vermouth? Pick it up and say vermouth and put it down. It's like pick it up, say OJ, and just put it down right there. But the Blanc de Blanc, guys, this is the iconic one. This is the one that wrote the book. Danny has access, as he said, to the Mirabelle probably in the shop, as well as the rosé, which is comparable in price. But I got to tell you, when you think of one wine to take out of the winery outside of the J Schram, which is not a lot of, is this wine right here.
Well, and folks, a reminder, as we talk about these wines today and for the holidays, you are getting 20% off with that coupon code at the end of the show. So take this price minus 20%. That's what you're paying. That's a steal for
vintage,
Schram.
For vintage dated, up to 3+ years, and 100% Chardonnay from very cool sites. Some of your favorite sites like Monterey and in Mendocino, and that wasn't always the case. At first in Napa Valley, which most of their vineyard in Napa Valley is all Cabernet for the most part, which makes sense now. But in the 60s it didn't. They first planted Chardonnay, then Pinot Noir. But it wasn't until the late 80s, early 90s where they started getting fruit from Carneros, the southern parts of Napa Valley, and mid-90s up in Mendocino, up in Anderson Valley, which is a great, cool climate for Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. And they started noticing the quality of their sparkling wines got better and better. And it wasn't an overnight subject. They took several years to broach the subject with his parents, but Hugh Davies, who's the current owner and proprietor. But it wasn't until the mid-90s where they uprooted everything and then planted with traditionally Bordeaux varietals, Cabernet being the main, which is the J. Daniels Cabernet, which again, if you get your hands on, which you're very lucky, they make very, very little of that. But the Schramsburg is a great entree into what they do, and certainly a great wine to serve right before a nice bottle of J. Davies when you sit down as well.
So nice. All the wines ordered tonight will be available for pickup on Wednesday at 4:00 when we open. So don't miss out on getting these Christmas presents. Shop the website. I'm going to say this because we have some really, really amazing wines that you can get 20% off that you're typically not going to get that on the internet. So today's the day to do it. I'm going to point out a couple, just to have them right here. One, a little bit of the Odette Cab. This is the 2018. So that 165 bottle, you're going to get 20% off. This is a nice gift bottle if you're trying to find that person on that list that's hard to shop for, but they really like nice wine. here you go. Also, we only got a little allocation of this, but hey, if you're going to get 20% off, I know it's expensive, but this is maybe the one that you treat yourself with. Opus One. We got a couple bottles of Opus One, so don't miss out on that. And then I'm going to move this over because I only can 2 bottles. That's all I could get. Since we're talking bubbles, the Lady Gaga Dom Perignon, quite a gift that would be. And yeah, that's at $2.45 on the site. It's up there. You can order it. It makes a great gift, and you're getting 20% off. So don't forget some high end things up there that they can save big time on the show. So that was a Schramsburg. I mean, I know we got some bubble lovers out there.
Well, this is, and again, I think this just hits a nice sweet spot. I mean, in terms of price point, in terms of quality. You have some people coming over at various levels of wine enjoyment. Some rarely drink wine. Some drink wine every weekend. What's something good to get? I mean, and again, sometimes it's daunting, but you can guarantee Schramsburg, every bottle, I mean, literally every bottle has this extra complexity, this nuance out there, which not to say you can't get a good Cava or Prosecco for $15, that's good. But when you're trying to have that extra gear, it's always, it's like driving cars. I drive a Prius, it gets me there. But, if I got into, let's say a fully loaded, Acura or maybe.
By the way, when he says that, he really does.
Yeah, I really do. 6'5", you can get in there. But I mean, seriously, when you get into a different car, you're like, yeah, it can get me there, but it's a different experience, totally different experience, so.
So you can go over to the website, loadedgrape.com right now. Start putting stuff in your cart. If not, we'll just, you can do it at the end if you want, but you can order now. You can put stuff in your cart, hold it. Sorry, I need more bubbles. Actually, no. Let's move on. Let's move on.
Let's put some wine in this guy's
glass.
Let's
put some wine in this glass right here. So throughout the night, we'll remind you. We'll go back. We'll talk about the wines we've already done. So if you come into the show late, we just started with the Schramsburg. Now we're off to Italy. Yes, Italy. Now, some of you guys might say, "Well, that label looks familiar." That was a reserve bottle. 2 years ago in the wine club, so we did it. We have had this wine
double positive, like double negative,
positive.
Right?
Yeah. We have had this wine in the wine club. It was great. Then I felt like we should try to revisit some stuff sometimes and remind you about that. But Chianti is not only Chianti, but Chianti Classico, meaning it's coming from the classic growers of Chianti, the original ones that were there. And this is just one of those bottles that if you're liking Italian wines, you like Chianti, you got to have a couple of bottles of this in your car. Yeah. You're just going to have to.
Well, if you're like me, I mean, some of my first wines that I could just consume before I even knew what I was doing were Chiantis. I mean, they were great wines. They're, for the most part, they're accessible, flavor profile, price point. But like most of you know, I mean, once you kind of continue on your wine journey, you realize those, $10, $15 Chiantis that were just okay. You're like, wait a minute, I think there's other things out there that are far superior. I mean, I had an Italian producer from Tuscany one time tell me, in the 60s and 70s, you always see these restaurants with the red and white checkered tablecloth and, the old, Nona making pasta in the background and a bottle of the wicker basket bottle on the table, right? Yep. Well, over time, the wine became so cheap, so diluted, so sort of just, I don't know, not really that great a wine that the actual bottles themselves cost more. So that's actually why a lot of wineries did away with that than the actual wine to make it, because it was so expensive to make the bottle versus actually the wine they were getting. So, but now, like anything else, people that know better, that know that, hey, they're people that maybe don't represent the region as best, and every region has those folks. But when you talk about, as Danny said, Chianti Classico, so it's not just Chianti, which is the larger, greater part, which we're talking about Tuscany. For those of you thinking about the boot, as it were, it's kind of that northwestern part, just below the Piedmont region, just a few provinces north of Rome, but on that side. And what's great about Tuscany, you have a little map you wanted to show up?
I wish I forgot.
No, well, it's like high thigh, above the knee, high thigh, and so Tuscany, when we think about, the birthplace of the Renaissance and, with art and religion being so sort of inextricably linked, wine very much right there. I mean, there's on record, even before the Romans, the ancient Etruscans that were making wine there. Obviously, the Romans did what they did there. But when we think about one varietal, of a country of Italy that literally has 2 million acres of land. They make millions and millions of bottles of wine. Sangiovese, blood of Jupiter. This is the grape that really personifies Italy in one grape, if you had to say that, because it's the most widely planted. Even to this day, again, because certain areas are trying to make a quick buck, they realize, hey, I'm a casual wine drinker. I know little to nothing about Italy, but I know Pinot Grigio and Sangiovese, right? That's kind of what they've been conditioned to know, right?
Yep.
And so Sangiovese, yes, there are other areas that grow it. But when you think about the classic area, no pun intended, it's not only Tuscany, but there are a couple areas, Chianti Classico specifically. And if you go about an hour south at the bottom, because basically between Florence and Siena is Chianti, about an hour south of Siena is Brunello di Montalcino. So that's the ancient town of Montalcino. It's a town you can take a day trip. There's not much there. It's the ancient walled town. Have a glass of wine. But that's the Brunello grape. Basically, it's a Sangiovese clone, if you will. And so what's interesting, when I say Sangiovese, you think, oh, Sangiovese. When Tuscany alone has over 300 different clonal varietals of Sangiovese. So just think of that fact alone. There are how many other wineries that are going to give you a kaleidoscope of different flavors, not only from this area, which is primarily Sangiovese with a little bit of Merlot and Cab. They can add to it, but now they can do 100%. Till if you go down to Bulgari, which is the Super Tuscans, which are Merlot, Cabernet based, a little bit of Sangiovese, down to Brunello. So what's great about this, as Danny mentioned earlier, Classico is a smaller, more defined region. It's not sort of gerrymandered every year because of politics. Hey, we want to be in Classico or we want to be in Chianti. They kind of draw the lines a little bit every year, but Classico is pretty much well set by these old Medici, old sort of families. But what's great about Castello Volpaia, which really means fox's lair, by the way, Volpaia, it was a town, a castle, essentially. It wasn't just a winery or vineyard, because that kind of goes without saying. This was a working commune right outside the city of Radda, Radda, in Tuscany, in around 1172, give or take. You remember 1172, right? 100 Years of War, somewhere around that. So
yeah.
But the bring out your dead part, from Monty Python. That circa that era.
That era.
Circa that era.
Now I know.
Right?
I'm not dead yet.
Yeah, exactly. So
he will be.
Yeah, he will be. So what's great about this is, and over the centuries and over several owners and wars and fiefdoms and religious orders and whatnot, it basically by the turn of the 1900s was left abandoned and in ruins because it was so much to repair and fix up. Fast forward to the 60s, the current family that owns it literally revived the town. And so literally, and when I say this, I'm not even...
But then again, if I was in the 60s, I'd be looking for a place called the Fox's Lair.
The Fox's Lair. Why not?
I'd be looking.
Which is that's the name of the next venture that Loaded Grape's going to be in. It's going to be the Fox's Lair. It's going to be a speakeasy. So only a few of you are going to hear about it.
Yeah.
The Fox's Lair, right?
Fox's Lair.
The Fox's Lair, right? But literally the town itself, everyone in the town either works for or indirectly for the winery. So it's kind of interesting when you go to this town, which is, again, not that big itself, but again, an ancient sort of town that you're like, oh my God, how long has this place been here? Is that you find some fantastic old structures with a very modern winery behind it. So when I say modern, using modern techniques, French barrels, organic practices are looked at. And for those of you that do enough of these with us, and we talk about hillside and high altitude vineyards, kind of give you more of that extra nuance. Volpaia happens to be one of the highest elevated vineyards in the entire Chianti Classico region at about between 900 to 1,000, 1,100 feet. So again, a little higher up, a little smaller berries, a little bit heartier fruit. I mean, it's still great Sangiovese, that mid palate, silky smooth, about 4.5, maybe 5 in terms of that tannin level. Yeah. You got that rose petal, a little of that cherry, a little of that earth, almost kind of that walk through the forest kind of a thing.
Yeah, not overly, but yeah.
Yeah.
Drinking this makes me think. I know what the fox said. More Chianti.
More Chianti. Yes,
more
please.
Chianti. That's what the fox said.
He was chasing the rooster, as you can see right there.
Yeah, chasing the rooster. He says, "Hey, need more." That's what the fox says.
Yeah.
What a wine. And I know, I see a comment here, and Emily asked about us to review the wines. Whites. We only did bubbles, all reds. It's 38 degrees outside. We thought we would go with warmer wines. However, feel free to go over into the Loaded Grape website at www.loadedgrape.com, and you can go over into the white section and shop all those wines using Cyber vines at checkout and get 20% off of any of the Chardonnays and other white wines that we have there on the website. So you can still take care of some savings that we're just not going over any other white wines. So I wanted to answer that from Emily. So, but thanks for tuning in. But we do have the bubbles. Got the bubbles.
Yeah.
Chardonnay, but with bubbles.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, I mean, the Shannon Blanc and the Wine Club for November seems to be kind of crushing it.
Crushing it.
And again, you can certainly find your typical Pinot Gris, Sauv Blanc Chardonnay, but over time they've curated a nice little Gruner, Albarino, kind of a little left to center white varietals like that Jacques Harry did, Quinard that just sold like gangbusters. That I can't another Kermit Lynch item.
Yeah, the Kermit Lynch.
Yeah, anything by that guy, right? It's like let's pick out something in the book. Again, I don't know if you guys have any of that on the shelf left. I mean, if so, I might have to buy some. Yeah. That's just a fantastic white wine too. So
we've got a little bit left, but let's go over this one more time, and then we'll move on to the next wine. So this is again the Chianti Classico from Valle
Castello Papaya.
I got it. There it is. Fox's Lair, so much cooler to say.
Yeah.
Remember, you're going to get 20% off that price. So that 32 is not your final price. It's going to be 20% off. Again, remember to use that coupon code CyberVines, all caps, at checkout. TC. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great wine. I mean, again, I think this smokes any other Classico out there. I mean, you can certainly find a few Classicos at a few bucks cheaper, but for 12 months in barrel, and again, the higher elevation, again, obviously lower yielding, but just, it just has this great nuance to it. I mean, that's what I love about Valpai. I mean, to me, if I were to ever do a blind tasting of Chianti Classicos, I feel like, Valpai is a good one because I think people, if they do guess Sangiovese, they're going to like Reserva, like a Russo, like a baby Brunello, even. Like, I mean, I think that's what's great about it. So for you Brunello fans that go, TC, the only Sangiovese I drink is Brunello. Again, send me your address because I'd love to come drink some with you. But this is something, again, that, is not your typical basket, Billy Joel, bottle of red, bottle of white, favorite Italian restaurant. I mean, this is something that, you go to your favorite.
This to your favorite Italian restaurant.
You do. And then you go tell Joe or whomever at Elizabeth's Pizza or whatever, hey, come back here. And they're like, oh my God, CC, I would love to sell this wine, but nobody get you. Like, you get it, though, right?
You get it.
And you can only get it at the Loaded Grape. This price.
Yeah, this price, 20% off today, only a Loaded Grape. And I'm saying you don't want it too. You know why? Because it's a porch pounder. It's a porch pounder. Oh, there it is. I know you guys been waiting all night. We had to get it in there. No, this is definitely, it is super smooth. Just goes down. I could finish this bottle right now, but we have a couple more wines to go. So I
mean, and that's one thing we wanted to try to do. I mean, we, as people, different times come up, different cuisines, obviously. I'm not going to sit here and rattle off a bunch of cliche items people eat this time of year, but I will say this is the wine that goes with that. Anything from grandma's whatever to Chick-fil-A. Spicy, whatever your Chick-fil-A of choice is. Which, by the way, you guys need to go back and look at an old episode. That was old episode of the Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, man, that was a good one.
Yeah,
not only did we drink well, we ate well.
Oh my God, that was a good one. So Chick-fil-A and wine do really
go. And we did the Bricks Pizza one. That was a lot of fun too.
Yeah. Shout out to
Clay and everybody. Nicole, I just put it back up on the screen there at the bottom. So feel free to check that out. Again, remember when you're putting it in the cart, remember to use that CyberVines at checkout. So let me go back to that as I went and did that too fast. So there it is. Oh, now this is a new product. New. Because we like to do that. Little 5G.
There you go.
You getting 5G now?
Yeah.
I'm getting 5G.
Somebody told me the other day that 3G, their networks are just going to shut off, and people that just refuse to update, they're going to have a call center saying, "Well, here's a phone for free." Like they're just going to start giving away free phones with 5G.
Wow, 5G! You got to get the 5G. So we're going to go to Spain. We're going to get a little Grenache.
Yes, Familia Torres. I mean, another family. 1870s, which for European standards was like yesterday. So obviously they've only been doing it for 6 generations. Not like 12 generations, 17. Like some of the other ones. But, I got to say, not, for those of you that really know me, I love France. I love Italy. But when it comes to value, when it comes to over-delivering, for old world wines, I mean, Spain, I just love it. I mean, Spain, I think this has so much to offer. I mean, certainly because of politics and the Franco regime, because he was a teetotaler, didn't drink, kind of set Spain, even to this day, really behind in terms of the consumption. So they're really behind both Italy and France, but they have more acres. And the reason being is a lot of that wine is actually shipped to France. And so if you're ever wondering why France makes more wine than anybody else, they're not just growing all of it. They're actually bringing some of it in, just like they did back in the day. But guys, this is one of my personal favorite varietals, not only because I'm a Chateauneuf de Pop freak. I love the Rhone Valley. It's a touch point of mine. But Grenache, or Grenache in this case, is a unique varietal in that, unlike Cabernet or Pinot Noir or Sauvignon Blanc, or even Chardonnay to some degree, whenever it's grown throughout the world, you guys are doing a blind tasting with Cabernet. Yep. Certainly you're going to have differences of new and old world, but to some degree, there's about 5, 10 or so adjectives for most of those varietals that are linear, that almost should, a Cabernet should check this box, that box, Pinot Noir should check this box, that box. Grenache, to me, is so unlike those varietals because it really saps up the terroir. So if it's in a cool climate, you get this more of a red peppered, like tobacco, almost like a pimento kind of a thing to it. Whereas in warmer climates, you get more of this like stewed cherry, little rhubarb kind of a thing. The strawberries, like a dried strawberry kind of a thing. What I love about this area, it's just south of Rioja, Campo de Borja, not only because of these guys crushed Don Ramon and Mosin Calito and some of those wines. This is an area much like, let's say, the Lake County. Most of you are like saying, I've never heard of Lake County, but you've heard of Napa Valley. Lake County is the county directly north of Napa Valley. The reason why it's even on the map today as its own area is because for years, winemakers, producers, growers would actually grow fruit in Lake County, namely Cabernet, around Clear Lake, which is one of the AVAs, and ship it, at night in big tankers down to Napa Valley at 24.5%, whatever the law allows, because, hey, as a business person, you're like, hey, I can buy one Cabernet for $2,000 a ton or one for $20,000 a ton. What are you going to pick, right? You got to hit margin, right?
No brainer.
No brainer. And so the same thing with Campo de Borja. Most of you are like, Campo de Borja, never heard of it. Rioja, I've heard of Rioja. And so again, Rioja, to sort of bolster their wine for years, would ship up Grenache, either secretly or in smaller portions, what they would tell people. But now you have these super old vine. When I'm talking about old vine, like legit 50, 60, 80, in some cases, 100-plus-year-old vines in these areas like Campo de Borja. To me, it's probably one of the most. It probably over delivers pound for pound more than any other area, and I think on the planet. Just because when you think of 100-year-old vines that you can get for $15 retail, I mean that hit like. It had to ship over the seas and 3 levels of sales.
Monsanto would be the next area where I would say.
Yeah, Monsanto's right there. I mean, Toro's right there. But certainly those areas, can.
But the price point.
Right. The price point. Yeah, exactly. The price point. So this comes from really 5 parcels, 5 generations of growers within the Familia family. And so, unfortunately.
You're familiar with the Familia family.
Yeah, the Familia, right? Well, when they joined the EU, one of the perks of the EU was a lot of money for infrastructure. Well, a lot of these farmers out in the middle of, lesser known wine areas go, okay, I can keep making wine for this much, or the EU can write me a big check to run a highway or a new freight track or not an Amtrak, but their equivalent to Amtrak, bullet train or whatever, right through my vineyard. Well, now there's a big rush by producers, importers, wholesalers to say, stop, hold on to these vines. We will gladly pay you $15 if that's what it takes. And these guys are like, wow, we can actually make a living, with that. And frankly, these wines should be $25, $30+ across the board.
I'm going to show you this label again because I want you to be able to see it on the shelf at the Loaded Grape. It is absolutely delicious. I got to do a little more of this.
A little mulberry, a little 5 spice in there.
Yes.
This is like a holiday wine. Earlier you called me and said, TC, I'm looking for winter warmers for beer. And I'm always thinking a winter warmer is this kind of malty, nutty, spicy, little clove. Let's face it, a little potpourri without being so potpourri-ish, right? Yeah. That's what I love about this wine. It just has this great kind of red-berried, currant kind of a thing to it in the background.
To me, if this was open, we had a little charcuterie on the table, I'm all set. It doesn't need food. It drinks fine just without food. But throw a little meat and cheese out and drink this. with some friends and family.
Well, hey, you think we like pork in the South? I mean, if you ever been to Spain, literally a big old leg. I forget the actual name of it, but it's a leg that they'll have in most restaurants, and they'll slice it off. And the reason they have the leg is you can see the hoof in certain pigs with the black hooves. Obviously, I forget exactly where they're from. Go for a higher price, but that way you can see them bringing it to your table and saying, here, we're actually slicing. It's kind of like when you order the nice tequila and they actually bring the tequila to your table and pour it in front of you versus going, I'm not really sure if this is Jose Cuervo or not, right? So they actually do that. So again, point being is charcuterie with Spanish wine. I mean, it was made for tapas and made for, I mean, going out to eat at 10 o'clock. Yeah. I mean, if you ever go to Spain and you go to dinner at 8:30, you're like, have I missed the dinner rush? No, they haven't come yet.
They haven't come yet. Yeah. No, this was just a little, right, tapas and some maybe even, I mean, God, I'm just picturing like a
little manchego cheese, something like that.
Yeah, a little manchego cheese.
Yeah, some almonds.
Yeah. Some olives. Be ready to go.
Yeah, and I can even think of like a little red pepper jelly over like some like softened cream cheese or some Borsian cheese, right? Something like that.
It's by the way, that's a Mackie. Like if you invited us to your holiday party, that's what we do. That's what we do. We get some Ritz crackers, some Philadelphia cream cheese, and some pepper jelly, put it over the top. And I guarantee every time it's the one thing that's gone. Yeah. Disappears. Everybody over there with the Ritz crackers.
You get the sweet and the spice and the cream. I mean,
and then you add a bottle like this where you're, hey, it's $22 on the shelf normally. You're getting 20% off tonight with that Cyber Vines coupon code.
This is so silky though. It's very silky. It's very smooth. I mean, I think I guess the difference is with the Chianti we just had. The Chianti almost had like a little bit of this little tobacco kind of a thing. It had a little bit of a little tannic pop at the back end, a little dryness. This right here is just. I mean, it's like the back of a dolphin. I mean, it's just like it's so silky. It's so smooth, front to back. I mean, this thing just goes.
It's easy. We do these deals. We always had specials throughout Virtual Vines. We're still trying to get the fancy Italian lights. All we could do was with these. So I hope
we're getting there.
We're one day.
LED. We're going to
LED. Actually, these are fancy. These are fancy. I can actually have them change colors.
Okay.
They could strobe. I figured strobing wasn't a good idea. I didn't want anybody to have an epilepsy seizure or something while they were doing it. But guys, this delicious. New product. It's not all over the place. You're going to be one of the first people in Greensboro to have it. Friends are going to go, where'd you get it? You're going to say Loaded Grape. That's where I get my wine. That's where I'm in their wine club. Do not sleep on this, especially if you're a big Spanish wine drinker. This is absolutely delicious.
Even if you're not a Spanish wine drinker, if you love French wines, you love, Côte de Rhones are blended, but they're about 70-80% Grenache. This is 100% Grenache. But I got to tell you guys, I mean, if you go down the Grenache rabbit hole, after a while, it's kind of like Pinot Noir or Riesling. It's kind of hard to like anything else because, the Grenache, I mean, some of my wine geeks and friends, I mean, just have this affinity with Grenache because, again, like I said, you can make it in this light Beaujolais Nouveau carbonic macerated style. And then you can also make it in this big, heavier, unctuous kind of style, like a Chateau de Pop Reserve that is good but can age for 2 decades as well. So again, a great wine for every day, but also a good wine that you can sit on. This is drinking fantastically now, but God, if you forgot a bottle or two of this in your cellar, I mean, this will, at least the next 2, 3, 4 years, it'll keep on.
And it's high in alcohol too. It's 14.5%, but it doesn't drink hot. It's just very, very nice. And Michelle,
for New World, and one for the New World drinkers, I mean, that's the point. I mean, I only drink California. I only drink Argentina. I don't like France. I don't like Italy. This is the wine. Pour them in the kitchen. Don't show them the label. Oh my God, I love this wine. Say, oh, it's from Spain. Like, oh my God, I never thought to drink Spain. Or I had that one cheap Tempranillo I bought at whatever store and I didn't like it, so I just don't like Spanish wine, right? Which is unfortunate, right? Unfortunate. I mean, it's very unfortunate. But this will definitely turn some heads and get people back into it. So
yeah. Michelle, we're right there with you. We've missed doing Virtual Vines. So cheers to everybody for tuning in today, tonight. Probably laying in bed all snuggled up because it is freezing outside here in the South. If you're watching in Greensboro or North Carolina, only like 38 degrees. 38 degrees. It was so cold out there.
Well, it's that time of year where you need a coat and you take it off and you need a coat again, right? So it's you get all seasons in like a 24-hour period.
24-hour period, because I think it's going to be in the 60s again by Wednesday or Thursday. So who knows? But enjoy the cold weather if you're into cold weather, folks. We're going to go quick little recap for just 2 seconds. Again, we're talking about the Grenache, the 5G, absolutely delicious. That's at $22 a bottle. Then we did the Chianti.
The Fox's Lair.
The Fox's Lair.
Castella Volpaia.
Volpaia, there it is right there. $32 a bottle. Again, you're going to get 20% off.
New vintage too. So for those of you that remember it, I think when we did it a while back, this is a new vintage. So it is, if you did like it, and maybe you have a bottle left of the 18 or 17, I forget which vintage, you can, a little side by side. Yeah, so a little side by side.
And then we started with the Schramsburg Blanc De Blanc. Absolutely delicious for those bubble drinkers. This is a way to get your party started, whether it be Christmas morning, Christmas Eve, New Year's. You're going to need a bottle of bubbles. That's why we went this route. By the way, mark your calendars. I didn't put this up yet, but it will be going up soon. December 21st, it will be a super sparkling tasting. So we're going to have lots of bubbles open, from champagne to cava to prosecco, but a lot of champagne. We're doing a lot of grower champagne. Champagne's gonna be really hard to get this year, especially from a lot of the bigger houses. The distribution, all that stuff's been difficult, and it is really playing havoc on it. So I think that's all my Dom. So Lady Gaga, that's it. If you want Dom Perignon, you got to drink Lady Gaga, because that's all I'm getting.
We have plenty of Schramsburg.
Plenty of Schramsburg. We're gonna have some Porget. Got a little bit
LP or something like that. He's got a bunch of Laurent Perrier rosé in too. For those of you,
he just got some in, so we'll be having some of that.
A wine so good they had to put it in its own special bottles. Right?
Oh my gosh, so good, so good. And then we're ready. Let's move on.
Let's go on the new world. Let's get down to Argentina.
Argentina, that's where you want to go.
Let's do it.
All right, now, folks. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go here right now.
Preface.
I'm gonna preface this because we've had others from this producer. Oop, wrong one. It's a porch pounder. We got a porch. This is a porch pounder, but the next one coming up, definite porch pounder.
Yeah,
folks. You might remember us doing this brand back. So many. We've done it in the wine club. We've done it in. On Virtual Vines.
And Tikal and Luca has a sisterly
association. Each one of these are done by the family's vineyard that grows the grapes. So with us tonight from the Domingo Fazio Vineyard, the La Pasta Malbec. Oh, I know there's some folks already getting excited about this. Because these La Pasta wines, you might remember the blue label sold so well, white label, and now we're on to the black label.
Yeah, the Bellucci and the Basila and the Fazio, which I encourage. Unfortunately, I think there's one or two where I think we have a little bit of Fazio, a little bit of Basila, not much Bellucci, but it's interesting because when you get to try the three side by side, you really realize wow, the differences of not only elevation but in soil really do play a part. And you can see, a varietal like Malbec from essentially the same area and how drastically different it is. So this is a brainchild of, again, we talked about, the first family of sparkling wine. I'd go as far as to say, one of the top preeminent families to this day in Argentina is the Catena family. And carrying on that tradition is her brother Ernesto, and then in this case, Laura Catena. For those of you that just scatter YouTube even very poorly for Laura Catena, she's very much out there. She is a ball of energy. She's one of these people where when you hear her life story, you're like, what am I doing in my life? Because not only does she have a medical doctorate degree, she makes wine, which they call her a traveling winemaker, which is to say the Southern Hemisphere harvest around March and we harvest in the Northern Hemisphere around September. So literally year round, she's making wine in either California or in Argentina. So when you think most winemakers have one shot, she's literally continually making wine. It's kind of like surfers, like that movie, The Endless Summer. She's literally traveling the world for fall and harvesting wine. So literally, when most winemakers get one shot a year, she's doing this repeatedly, continuously. So the La Posta wine. First off, La Posta is sort of a colloquial term for
TC. It's purple.
It is purple. This
It's
is
purple.
This is purple.
It's
I mean,
purple.
I don't know if you can see my shirt, but I mean, it blends right in right here. I mean, this is.
If a wine could be a color, it's purple.
Prince would be happy.
Yes.
Prince would be very happy with this wine.
Yeah.
So La Posta basically is like a local tavern or bar, essentially, in the rural areas that farmers would get to. And, you basically get together and I would assume outside of religion or politics, everything was on the table. You could talk about each other's wives, who owed you money, maybe who got a little too drunk last weekend. But what's great about this, as Danny alluded to.
I don't owe anybody money.
No,
I'm kidding.
Not me.
I'm kidding.
Well, what's great about this is literally it's families, in some cases 6 generations. When you think about the New World, I mean, that's as long as it gets when it comes to vinifera in the New World, right? So
I mean, only 5 generations on this one.
Yeah, only 5. That's just like yesterday.
Yeah, it's
right?
like 5
generations. Think about Wente or Gun Bun. I mean, there's 6 generations, which is, I mean, even like Oregon, if you can say you're 3 generations in Oregon, that's like royalty. I mean, because they haven't been making wine that long. Mm-hmm. But essentially, what we have here are single family grower, single vineyard Malbecs, all from Mendoza. In this case, this is from one of the highest points in the Uca Valley, one of my favorite areas that butts up against the Andes. Tupungato. So we're between 3,500 and 4,000 feet in elevation here. For those of you that know me, I mean, I love mountain wines. I love wines that are not necessarily even high elevated, but, wines that are grown on hillsides because, those, I keep bumping that, I'm sorry, those infertile slopes are perfect for very resilient, very drought resistant crops, much like vines. Yeah, you're not going to grow your tomatoes and your cucumbers and your corn. It's a pain in the butt to grow up there. Why would you, right? But this is a great item to do for that. So Malbec, one of the Bordeaux 5, grows in a very, very small amount in Bordeaux to this day. There's one area just to the east of Bordeaux called Cahors, Cahors, that makes fantastic Malbec and Tannat, kind of the 2 lost grapes from France. But Malbec is such a later ripening grape. And when you think about an area like Mendoza at 3,000 plus feet in elevation, essentially all you have to worry about is a hailstorm in the winter, which, by the way, you've already harvested, so you don't really care. Well, I mean, it damages the vines maybe once or twice a decade, but unlike in the valley, you have the early rains, you have the late frost, you have all this kind of stuff to contend with, essentially. But with Malbec, it's such a late ripening, late flowering grape. Places like Oregon or Monterey, California, or Burgundy would never grow this grape because it just wouldn't get ripe. I mean, you'd be eating Thanksgiving dinner and the grapes are still out there with 15 bricks of sugar waiting to super acidic. Might as well make, champagne vinaigrette or something out there with it, right? Or balsamic vinegar, right? But what's great about this wine of the 3, I love this wine because not only is it higher elevated, you get more of this pepper, little spice, as you mentioned, purple. So it definitely has that I don't know, like that blackberry. I mean, that blackberry, blueberry, those big dark blue fruits.
The blue fruits. You don't have a lot of wines with blue fruits, and that's why I get excited when I see blue fruits.
You got to. Well, like the Blue Man Group, right?
Like the Blue Man Group. I mean,
they say nothing, but they do everything without saying anything. Right? So that's the same thing with this wine right here. But I will say, there's a lot of Johnny-come-lately Malbecs out there that just are they hit a price point. You're in the checkout counter. You're like, oh, it's $7.99. Why not? It's got a cute dog on it. You bring it home. You're like, didn't love it. Malbec, huh? I think I'll stick my Cabernet, or whatever it is. Yeah. So this is a Malbec. Frankly, to quote a phrase earlier, as I said, that for my wine nerds and my wine, novices, when they get into a room, this is a Malbec that not only that the professionals can say, wow, this actually tastes like Malbec. Other people go, oh, wow, Malbec. I've never even heard that, but I'm going to start buying more of it. And unfortunately, unless you're buying certain brands like these guys, Mendoza, with the size of Wyoming, there's a lot of quick buck artists. So for every Laura Catena, there's probably 10 other bigger firms. Everyone's moving down there from California. God, I mean, even Wente bought land there not too long ago, and they make some Malbec as well. So the rush is on because
even Wagner with the
schooners, the schooner wines, and then so many other luminaries that from the old world and the new world I can't mention because land, the cost of land, the cost of farming, labor, it's all in your favor. So that's why I think every time you look up and you see a new celebrity branded tequila, and you're like, why are they doing tequila instead of bourbon? You're like, oh, because bourbon's Kentucky, and you got to pay and the barrels, but tequila, I can just make that down in Mexico, and there we go. So again, I think in the wine globe, Argentina, South America, pound for pound, like Spain, is probably one of the best underrated, over delivering areas that you can get. And frankly, it's 2021. If you walked into Loaded Grape in 1997, I mean, I'd like to think they would be, ahead of their game, but in most wine shops, it wasn't their fault.
We are
like us. Well, people like
carry
us,
orange wine. We have pet nags.
But I'm just saying, but people like, unless a wholesaler kind of said, hey, Argentina's making wine, you couldn't go to your average wine shop and get Malbec. So it's such a great time to be a consumer of wine now, and to get a beautifully made, fourth generation produced Malbec that actually tastes like Malbec. That, guess what, you can get for under $25, and be happy paying it and being happy.
20% off tonight. And it's not even $20.
Yeah,
it's under $20.
Under $20.
Under $20. It's incredible. It is incredible. The prices that we give away here. Guys, I know I'm trying to get him to say the word. He hasn't said it yet. I'm trying. I got text messages coming in. Everybody's trying to get you to say it.
What's that?
You haven't said it yet. It's one of your
I think I said it. I think I said it. Unctuous, right? Did I say
no, the other one. The other one.
Oh goodness. Now you stumped me. I don't know.
No, you think sideways.
Sideways. I don't know. I'm not drinking any effing Merlot.
No. The word that he would say typically about a wine from sideways.
God, I'm literally drawing a blank.
Man,
I'm drawing a blank right now.
Don't worry, I'm gonna get him to say it, and then you guys are all gonna chime in as soon as he says it. You know which word I'm looking for. So
it's like that part where Paul Giamatti walks into Sanford and he's just like, strawberry, the right fruit, and a slight soupçon of a nutty Edam cheese. And Tom St. Church's like, strawberries, yeah, not the cheese. No cheese.
It's not the cheese.
No
cheese. It's not the cheese. Oh, I can't believe he hasn't said it tonight either. He says it all the time. He has not said it once tonight.
It'll
no quarter for him.
Yeah.
He's not going to get a quarter.
No.
All right.
But this, guys, I will do the Pepsi challenge. Take your favorite Malbec at $5 under and $10 over this price at not only the Loaded Grape, but any place you've ever bought Malbec for. You're like, this is the Malbec I love. I will put this bottle next to it, and if you don't think it's as good, if not better, then Andy will buy it back from you, right?
Andy will. I won't. No. Again, I want to remind everybody.
I'll drink it.
Thursday.
Call me. I'll drink it.
Thursday night between 6 and 8, we're going to have a blind Cabernet tasting. So I just want to make sure everybody knows about that. And we're ready to move on. Let's do it. Yeah, see, everybody's egging you to say it. You haven't said it yet. See, everybody knows. They know what you want. They want you to say.
God. It's like when you go to a Rolling Stone concert and they don't play Satisfaction. You're like, dude, I came here for one thing. And you're playing all the new shit. Like, I want to.
One thing, TC.
We don't care about the new album.
Don't worry. We're going to get you to say it before the end of the night. Okay. Everybody's going to go nuts. But all I know is if you're playing the drinking game at home on when TC would say it, who would have picked this late into the show? I wouldn't have thought. I would not have thought.
See, if you hadn't said anything, it would have came naturally. But now
it's going to come naturally. Trust me. I feel like because you're going to try to think of all. You're going to think of all your normal words that you would say during a virtual Vines. It's going to come to you. Is going to. Though unctuous is another one that you do say.
I thought that one. I saw in the comments someone said he said unctuous. I'm like, okay, so
you did say that. You did say that. That was, but that's not the other one. The other
my
one.
11th grade honors English teacher would love that I use that. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, that's a great word. Don't ask me to spell any of these words.
Don't spell it. He can't spell it. Either can I. As everybody knows, because they read the emails, I can't spell. But it proves that you guys are reading the emails. That's how we know that. All right, now it's time to go to California. Don't worry, you California lovers. We had something for you. This is from Robert Hall. This is their Cabernet Sauvignon out of Paso Robles. I tell you right now, been drinking a lot of Paso Cabs lately. Just absolutely loving them. You know what? I'm going to blame Gary Eberly for getting me into the Paso Cabs. Because after, drinking those cabs with Gary on Virtual Vines, and it's like, oh, I got to discover some more Paso Cabs.
Yeah, because sometimes it's all marketing. It's all Zin with a few other things.
I love Zin. Don't
I love
downplay
Zin.
Zin.
I love Zin. Well, and honestly, there are some just okay Zins. I mean, there's some great ones out there. I mean, you got. And I'll mention some other brands I don't carry, like La Blancheur. I mean, Austin Hope does what they do. J. Lore. I mean, God, even J. Lore, as big as they are, I mean, we carry Winté and Bogle, and they're large, but to their credit, they are still family owned. They're not Constellation, Diageo, or whatever. So, again, I don't carry J. Lore, and they're from Paso. And again, as you mentioned, Eberly certainly helped write the book. I mean, he's very modest about it, but, you ask a lot of people on or even off the record in Paso, some of these people aforementioned, and they would say, hey, it was no small feat for Gary for what he did, kind of putting Paso on the map. And because of that, you had people like Robert Hall, who was a businessman, entrepreneur in the Midwest. I think it was Minneapolis, Minnesota. Hotbed for growing wine, right? So, but drinking wine. I mean, but a big drinking city, right? I mean, it's great. I mean, you got to be inside 8 months out of the year. I mean, right? Basketball, Kevin McHale, right? Somebody like that, right? That way. So anyway, so he loved Rhone varietals, and Robert Hall read an article in the late '80s about the Rhone Rangers. And for those of you that have been drinking wine long enough and paying attention, I guess, long enough, there was a whole movement in the late '80s and early '90s, kind of like when they were doing Italian varietals. And the Italian varietals, while California still grows Barbera, Dolcetto, Nebbiolo, to be frank, none of these Dolcettos, Nebbiolos taste really anything like classic Dolcettos or Nebbiolos. So it's kind of like, we did a couple barrels for Wine Club, but you'd never blind taste somebody on a Santa Barbara Nebbiolo. That just doesn't exist, right? But Paso was one of these preeminent areas for Syrah, Carignan, Viognier, some of these warmer, thicker skinned climate varietals. But Cabernet, being sort of on the front of everybody's mind for the past 100+ years, when you want to grow some of the top wines, whether it be for marketability purposes or just for wines that you love and drink, Cabernet would be, like Merlot, one of those as well. And so, Robert Hall started this winery in the early 90s. I think 92 was the exact date. And again, the Syrah, the Rhone varietals, he has this wine called Côte de Robles, which is fantastic. The Paso Red, which is that you guys did in a club, I think, one time. But Cabernet kind of gets overlooked. And I think that's what Danny's saying here is he's like, guys, he tastes a lot of wine, drinks a lot of wine. But cabs from Paso get lost in the shuffle because guess what? California, that Cabernet is king. Everyone's doing Cabernet, right? I mean, everyone's doing, voice dubs and analog overloads and whatever else, drum beats, whatever the cool kids are doing. Yeah. But when you drink Paso, you're like, wow, it has a heartbeat. It has a soul. It's unlike Napa, because, when I think Napa, it's almost mostly volcanic soil. But here you get this kind of gravel, this sandy, almost alluvial type soil structure. So a little different. I mean, certainly with those baseline denominations of this, it tastes like Cab, but different in that, it doesn't have that extra kind of graphite thing that Napa has, or sort of deeper, darker base notes. But I love about Paso, it has this nice silky, almost like, like this macerated, prune or like plum, dark bean cherry, like not a maraschino, I'm trying Luxardo, those really expensive Luxardo cherries, that nice kind of, again, just, a little, I don't say thicker, but to me, I think the fruit has a bit more of this red fruit component with the blue fruit, whereas I think big cabs from Napa almost all have this big, unctuous, kind of earthy, graphite, pencil lead kind of a thing going on to it. Whereas I think this, again, I think this almost can cast a wider net because, I think it's a little bit more fruit driven, right? But I think overall the tannins are very, I won't say more integrated, but sort of silky and smooth. They don't kind of bring you up here. They're there. I mean, they're there. I'm not saying
out of all the wines we drank tonight, this one has the
absolutely.
most tannins.
That's why we did it last. This is the last wine for a reason. So
but again, tannins are great things. They make you want to have another sip. That's what we're gonna go do.
Well, what I think about this, and I was actually I thought about this tonight when I was making my little girl a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because her class, I made one for lunch about a week ago, and I got a note from the teacher. I got a bad note from the teacher saying, "No nuts in the class, please." I'm like, God, I forgot we can't have nuts anywhere anymore, right? I know. Well, her class. I know. I guess I didn't read that memo. I almost killed a kid, I guess. I know. And so anyway,
Dad of the year over here.
I know. So I'm like, okay, she doesn't get to eat for lunch. I'm making a PB&J, and you think about it, when people say, what is tannins? What are tannins? What is acidity? Think about peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? The acidity comes from the jelly, right? That kind of high acid, that tartness, right? That cuts through the peanut butter, because peanut butter itself is just, and so if you had a wine that was all tannin, while for you, I only drink, smoke cigars and maybe, drink 8 pots of coffee a day, while you love that, the rest of us going, damn, like, come on, can you just, can you pump the brakes a little bit? I get it. It's like, and especially again, I think the older we get, the more nuance we look for. I guess it's different for my wife, but it seems like I used to be able to eat spicier foods better. I'm a poo nanny when it comes to that now, like literally just like a little bit of spice. It doesn't kill me, but I notice it, and notice a lot more than others. So the same thing with this cab. I think it has this great acidity to it, this like nice jelly, if you will, with the peanut butter, this smoothie kind of creaminess, and when you melt them together, you have this perfect integrated kind of harmonious Cabernet for a price point under $30 that you can't go wrong. And these guys were just purchased by the O'Neill Vintner Group, which does like Harkin and Exodus, which, by the way, I'm sorry you tried to order today and we're out of. So out of Exodus, which I think they're not making it. Intercept, the Ron Whitson line, and a host of other custom labels. But
you just like to break my heart, like at the end of the show. You're like, by the way, that thing that you ordered.
You guys ordered 4 bottles of Exodus for tomorrow, and we promised you it's not coming. Everything else is.
It was for me.
Okay.
Well, it was gonna be in the shelf. I just wanted.
He's got to drink more Southern Belle then.
I guess I'll drink more Southern Belle. Which, by the way, Dan Phillips, an awesome guy. Another awesome show that we did with Dan.
We need to get him back on the show.
We'll need to get him back. I don't actually. That was a private. That was not a virtual Vine.
Oh
yeah, that was a straight virtual.
When we were living in the pouring kits days.
Yeah, pouring kits. But maybe we should do a show with Dan Phillips before, because Dan is quite a character. And then if you weren't on that tasting, to understand how cool this guy is. This guy was really cool. But yeah,
great story, great background.
Story,
this guy is like, oh yeah, that guy. Let me tell you the story. I had dinner with Julian Van Winkle, and we developed a wine together. I mean, how many people can say that, right?
Yeah.
So
crazy. Man, TC, I can't believe we just done 5 wines, right about an hour. We should do a quick little recap.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll say the word during this. The magic word for today, kids.
Sideways. And it's a Paul Giamatti ism.
Oh yeah, definitely said it in the movie several times. Yeah. While tasting the wine. Taste the wine. He said it.
Oh God. Cannot think. I cannot. It's good. It's killing me.
It's killing you. It's killing you.
Quaffable? Is that it?
Folks, if you're playing a game at home, lift up your glass.
I looked down.
Lift up the glass. Here we are. He said it. It's quaffable. It's quaffable.
I thought I snuck that in there earlier. Didn't I sneak that in there when I was talking about certain Chiantis?
No, we all thought you were going to say quaffable during.
I was leading up to the quaff, but no quaff.
You didn't quaff.
Didn't happen.
You did not. It was very quaffable.
There was no quaffing.
You didn't say it. Now you said it. Everybody's happy. We can all go home.
The quaffinator.
Michelle was hoping that that I guess I was going to give everybody a glass of wine if you didn't say it.
Okay, yeah.
But Andy would not have liked that, so we wouldn't do that. A little bit, so. Yes, quaffable. Yes. Quaffable.
I might have to go back. It's been a little bit since I watched that movie. I might have to go back when it's a great little background. I wish they would make a sequel to that. I feel like you and I. That's what we should have done during COVID. We should have sat here and sat there. It's called vertical. We'll call it vertical.
Andy loves to say that.
But I think we need to switch it up. We need to have Paul Giamatti. He's written a bestseller, so he's no longer a teacher. He's actually got this amazing wine cellar. Mm-hmm. And Thomas Hayden Church, he's like womanized his way throughout like all the upper crust of LA. So he's this downtrodden. He's the opposite. Like he is like the downtrodden actor that can't get any work and go. Yeah. What do you think? I don't know. Maybe. That's chapter 1 right there.
Chapter 1. Yeah, I had a movie idea a long time ago. Me and my buddy Jim Scott was PA announcer of the Grasshoppers. We had a concept called The Birthday Boy, and the concept is this: the premise is that he was an orphan, so therefore he never knew when his birthday was, and they never really celebrated birthdays at the orphanage. So when he got old enough, he literally celebrated his birthday every day. So he scammed everybody so that he always had coupons and free whatever meals or whatever. And so he would always get all these.
That sounds like somebody in my family I know.
And then he would sell them off on eBay and stuff like that, and make money from it. And he was like this millionaire.
But somebody's got to ask for an ID. Somebody's got to ask for an ID. This has to be set back in the 70s, though, right?
I was gonna set up like like 9.
It's like Kung Fu, because Kung Fu, you're like, wow, that's great, but you can't set that now because somebody's like, oh, that's great, you're Bruce Lee, I got a gun.
Right? Just on the internet where they were just giving out crap,
now they're just
right?
like now they're just like swipe your card and be like, yeah, sir, I'm sorry, you're overdrawn.
Yeah. So that was the premise,
great.
where it'd be funny, and then he would meet a girl, and it would be this whole thing where she finds out his scam, and that was.
Does she go for it? She's torn.
Where she's torn because her birthday means so much to her, and that's the thing. So it'd be that was the premise.
Drama, comedy,
love
rom-com.
That's what it was.
Okay.
So there you go. If you ever see
Paul Rudd, you gotta have Paul Rudd in it, right? So.
Yeah, Paul Rudd now would be a great. Sexiest man alive. I guess if you're gonna have somebody in a movie, it might as well be Paul Rudd, the sexiest man alive. Yeah. So I know she's watching. Melissa Cato. Melissa Cato loves Paul Rudd. She finds him so sexy.
Well, the Dorian Gray of our era, right?
So sexy.
He's like the Ralph Macchio of the 2000s. It's like, remember Ralph Macchio when you saw him in Outsiders, and everybody's like, oh, he's like 35. You're like, no way. You're just like, he's older than Patrick Swayze. You're like, is that true? And then we make Karate Kid. He was like, 32, and he's in high school. But that's pretty much all movies, right? So
I feel like once a week you bring up Pony Boy. I feel like
hey, nothing gold. If you don't cherish some of the Outsiders, I'll be nice to you, but we really can't. We can't get on the inner circle of TC's.
Yeah, you're definitely not.
You're not getting on that.
If he's not making a Pony Boy reference of the Outsiders, he does. It's like once a week he makes a reference to that movie. Oh, come on, Melissa. We know he's the sexiest man alive. Come on. He plays Ant-Man. That's the bug that you really want to play. Anyway, so let's go through a little recap. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching.
Recap it. I'm going to recap a little
Schramsburg. Make it a little rosé. It's fine.
Get your little...
Do that. So a little Schramsburg is what we started with.
Rosé right here. And guys, thank you. This is so fun.
I
know it's
so
COVID good. And everything else, but I think this is obviously, the virtual vines was such a fantastic, unique opportunity we did for right out a year. And, obviously took a little break because, we're opening it back up, and we're like, I'm tired of doing Zooms all day, but it's kind of fun. And we'll talk to Danny about, not only getting back together periodically to do these with different cool themes, maybe location. Even though you went all out here, this is.
I did. I decorated.
Guys, you can't see it, but this is the cleanest this place has ever been. Oh my God! Tanya was just like, "Are you doing it in Danny's office? You got to clean the office." I'm just like, hey, give me a chair and a cup. But I gotta say, it's like Danny's dating. It's like back in college, like a girl's coming over.
Girls coming over.
I'm telling you guys, like Danny thought he was getting lucky tonight. He might. I don't know. Give me a Schramsburg. I don't know.
Schramsburg. It might happen. Yeah, well, no, Vanna Vines, she's keeping the dogs company, so that's why she didn't hop in. Oh, wait a minute, is this an alert that we need to put up here? Is Craig going to be in the wine shop sometime in December? That would be awesome. Let us know the date. We'll have everybody there to welcome you back home, Craig. Let us know, because I know there's a lot of folks that would love to see you. We'd love to see you. We'd love to see you. I miss you, buddy. Little cheers. Hope Arizona's doing well for you. See, we have people from Arizona on the show. This is how this works. That's the great thing about doing this. Time zones. Gosh, he's tuning in. It's like,
hey, he's sitting back and going, daylight savings. What's that? I moved to a state that we keep the same time.
So I guess we're an hour closer to him now.
I guess so. Yeah. Well, I guess how does that work?
Instead of being 3 hours or two and one, I don't know.
Them in Hawaii. Yeah. My brain will hurt if I think about it at this point. So.
See, look, it already got. See, Melissa wants to see you. You got to do it. All right. So yeah, Schramsburg, first one up.
Blanc De Blanc, vintage dated, guys, 3+ years. For those of you, give me a heads up if you are, but I'd love to try to throw a name out at you. So let Danny know if you guys are going to Napa Valley. I know as things open up a little bit more, I encourage all of you to go to Schramsburg, not only because of the history in the sheer beauty of the caves that you get to do these tastings in, you're going to be drinking a lot of Cabernet. You're going to be drinking a lot of red wine. This is a great wine to break it up. This is America. This is American sparkling.
America.
Yeah, I mean, this is something all the American holidays, in addition to the international holidays, we should all be drinking because, as I said, $35. You know, we're not cheapo Prosecco, but we're also not $75 champagne. It hits that nice sweet spot. Get you 2-3 bottles, 4 bottles, depending on how generous Danny wants to be. No Italian lights.
Yeah, no Italian lights.
No Italian lights, but guys, I gotta say, $35.
I can't even get 10,000 Taiwan twinkle lights.
Even if you ordered them 8 months ago.
Even if I ordered them 8 months ago, I couldn't get them. Yeah, just saying. That was a Christmas Vacation reference for those playing along. That's a classic. Then remember, don't forget to use that Cyber Vines, all uppercase, at checkout to get that 20% off. Again, the wines will be available at 4 o'clock on Wednesday to pick up. Then we went over to Italy for the Chianti Classico, the Volpia.
Castello Volpaia.
Castello
Volpaia Chianti Classico.
I still can't say it. I'll say it one day. Everybody's going to come in and say, hey, say this. And I'm going to be like,
Fox's Lair.
Fox's Lair. That's what I'm going to say. And I want to say Chianti Classico.
It almost sounds like something that happened in World War II somewhere, like a sniper,
right?
You know, in like Normandy. Like
yes.
he's just
like,
Hitler
had the Eagle's Nest.
Well, yeah, it was like some random guy from like, you know, Regina, Saskatchewan that like knocked off like 30 of the Gestapo, and he had like, you know, 15 bullets. I don't know, you do the math,
yeah.
Right? He's just the Fox's Lair.
Hitler literally took like one of the coolest names that you could have had, like here in California, like, oh, it's the Eagles Nest. Well, like, oh, that's so cool, but now it's like, nah, Hitler.
Well, he ruined the Charlie Chaplin for everybody.
Charlie Chaplin.
Can't do the Charlie Chaplin mustache anymore. Way to go. Thanks a
everything.
lot.
Thanks, Hitler. Ruined everything. Oh, by the way, now we said that. Now I feel horrible because today's Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah, everybody.
Okay.
If you're watching, happy Hanukkah.
L'chaim.
All right. So, great Chianti Classico, guys. It's so delicious. Definitely need to get that. Then we went to the newest item in the Tryon portfolio, the 5G Grenache. Yep. Oh, so good. It was delicious.
5 generations, 5 old vine parcels, south, about 30 minutes south of Rioja. The Familia Torres. You know, guys, get you some of this because, as Danny said, frankly, I mean, all these wines are porch pounders, but wine 2, 3, and 4. The last wine, this wine, the next wine. I mean, this is something. If you're confused, you don't know what to sell, you know what to buy. You got $100.
If they're not a porch pounder,
buy all 3 of these bottles, and you guys be the judge. Yes, like porch pounder emoji.
Yeah, you got it right there. You can get the fire out, right, and have a bonfire pounder.
There you go.
So there it is. And then we went to Argentina.
An old standby. I mean,
La
Posta. I mean, you guys have
Posta.
just, since day one, I think, have just been champions of
This
everything La Posta.
This is the Fazio. So it's the Fazio vineyard that it comes from. Absolutely delicious, guys. Fun. Those blued fruits. So you got that blueberry, blueberry. Help me out with my
there's blackberry, mulberry spice. I mean, what's
so
great
good.
about and for those of you that love How Mountain Mount Veeder, you know, we're talking maybe 1,800, maybe 2,000 feet, minimum 3,600 feet right here with this vineyard. So you know, there's no problem with ripening. You can guarantee every bottle from almost every vintage is just good to go right out of the bottle, and that's what I love about this wine.
Yep, and they'll be good to enjoy, like Melissa said, for the 70-degree weather on your porch later this week. I'm just saying, you might want to get these now. These are going to make great presents for friends and family. You have to break the bank to do it. You're going to give them nice bottles, and they're going to think you spent a lot of money because if they looked on the internet, they're going to know what you're spending. But really, you saved 20% today, so you didn't spend that much. See, you're saving, you're gifting. I know, Laura's on here. Laura Johnson. She likes to elf to people, and she, fairy drop bottles off on people's porches. These are great wines to do that with.
Well, when you think about it, some people are just like, I don't know what to get, and they always get like a $20 gift certificate from somewhere, which is kind of impersonal. But guys, for that same $20, $25, $30, which is frankly, depending on the restaurant, probably just an appetizer. I know how you and Tanya like to go out. I know how we like to go out. So I'm like $30. I'm like, I guess we started with like maybe one drink,
one drink, cocktail.
You know, but this is something, guys, that you can feel, as Danny said, confident that these wines are great quality, family owned, tried and true. And when you think about, for $21, this wine had to get on a boat, go 3 levels of sales. Essentially, you had a winemaker, a vineyard manager, workers out in the vineyard, a winery that made it and held it. And for $21, what are you complaining about? Forget about it.
Forget about it. And then we finished up with the Robert Hall, the Paso Cab. Guys, this is, drinking a ton of Paso lately. This is absolutely
And if you need
delicious.
to put Cabernet in your box, which we all do,
yes.
I get it. You're making a mix, 6-bottle case, 12-bottle case, I don't know, hand truck case, how much wine you're going to get. We get it. You got to get Cabernet. This is something, guys, I think that's why we wanted to do this, because we know you're going to have Cabernet. You're going to pick Cabernet. But this is a great one for the price point that's going to really fit every budget and almost every flavor profile, I think, as well. So,
yes, it will. Well, we look forward to seeing you again. Actually, I have an idea that I'm going to talk to TC about here in the near future, is that the next Virtual Vines will be on a snow day.
Yeah.
So we don't know when it's going to be.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a snow day.
Should we do it outside?
It could be outside if we can get to each other.
If the wind's not blowing, if the wind's not blowing, maybe
could
do it
be
the right time.
Could be outside. Just so you know, it's going to be a snow day. When maybe we close, the shop's closed.
Do it out in the field. Do it at Shea Fraser, maybe.
Well, who knows if we can travel? If not, you're going to be at your house. I'm going to be at my house.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
So it's just going to be a snow day. So when everybody's stuck at home, doesn't know what to do, we're going to promote really quickly to everybody and say, hey, at XYZ, we're going to be popping some bottles. Maybe it might be a 5 o'clock hour kind of thing because nobody's out working. So it'll be a snow day.
And we'll put it in Andy's Jeep because he's got 4-wheel drive to deliver to you guys.
Yeah. So
Something like a plan to me.
Andy will do all the delivering. See? So,
with baby in tow.
Baby, well, yeah. So we'll have it all good. Got it all going. So again, all these wines will be available Wednesday at 4 o'clock for pickup when we open. Thank you so much for tuning in and being supporters of Virtual Vines throughout the couple of years. I say it. We had a lot of episodes of Virtual Vines.
There's a lot of shows that don't. 60 episodes, maybe something like
60,
that.
70 episodes
because we did an intermittent in between episodes. So let's. Almost 100. We need to go back and count. We need to do something special for the 100 because I feel like
I think
we'll get there.
Close.
We'll get there.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna continue to do these. Sporadically, especially now during the winter, where I know some people might be a little bit more, got a new variant out there, might be a little bit more concerned about coming to the shop, doing tastings. So stay tuned.
And a quick idea, if you guys want to do this, we did a lot during COVID, but if you want to do a personalized, specific tasting where Danny and I curate some wines for you guys, and you got some family that can't travel due to whatever, Danny's has shipped wine literally all, I think, in like 20 states now, or maybe more. And so what's great about it is contact Danny, contact Andy. If you guys want to do this for 8, 9, 10, 20 people that you have on a big Zoom thing on a day to give that as a Christmas present, that might be kind of cool. So talk to Danny. We can create all kinds of wines for all kinds of budgets. Again,
folks, I already have 3 virtual tastings for businesses in 2022 already booked. So and I know I'll have some more as we get closer to 2022. So we do these all the time.
Yeah, so let us know. We can do everything from all champagne to all great wines under $15. Whatever you guys want to do, and we'll make sure. And again, I think the edict that we've always had on the show is amazing wines at a great value without skimping on the quality. And hey, Danny and I, love what we do. We're on the get rich slow scheme, selling wine, but obviously, we have a champagne taste with a cava budget. So what we try to do for you guys is, yes, we like to break out that $50, $60, $80, $100 bottle of wine when we can. But frankly, on a daily basis, this is what we're drinking, guys. $35 and under, which is a great spot to be in to get some great family-owned products.
Think about it. You're going to a nice restaurant. You're going to be paying $12 to $15 a glass. You're just having a glass. So you know what? There's times at home you should probably be drinking a $30 bottle because you know what? That's about right. $9, $10 a glass is a good price point. If you're going to pay that to go out, you might as well do it when you stay home.
Especially if you have a steak. You always ask me, "Where's the best steak in town?" I'm like, my house on a Tuesday, right?
I tell you,
And I tell you, the best charcuterie board is this guy's house on any day of the week. So.
Yeah, I do like to make a good charcuterie board. So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching us and supporting us throughout the pandemic, epidemic, whatever we're in now. Yeah, and we hope to see you Thursday for the Cabernet tasting at the wine shop. And yeah, until next time.
Until next time, for Vanna Vines, who is with us in spirit, for Mr. Danny, the maestro himself, Spaz, as it were, 24/7.
Yeah, 24/7.
This is TC saying, keep on tasting. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you.